hereby swear that I shall be all the good in the world, that I shall defeat all evil in the world. Seventh heaven clad in the great words of power, from the binding circle, thou guardian of the scales!
He is gone now, and the key has vanished. Oh, don't worry, my child. Time, like sin, may be undone.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
You can handle it from here.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for your help.
Good luck.
Handle me.
Who are you? Loki, you think you're some kind of sorcerer?
Don't think for 1 minute you second-rate.
All right, bye-bye.
Some classes are tough and reliable, easy to build and to play, great for beginners and veterans alike. The Arcanist is not one of those classes. It has some very particular ability requirements, and it's different enough with its spellcasting that it can throw off even experienced arcane caster players. But once you've got the eccentricities of the class, you'll find the Arcanist to be one hell of a flexible, powerful mage. And it can be made to fit many different playstyles. Deadly DPS, cunning controllers, and stalwart support players can all get something out of the Arcanist. Before we get into the Arcanist, I'm excited to announce a new series. The Dicebag crew from D6 Damage are taking on the Pathfinder adventure Carrion Crown, starting this Friday. Join the stream on YouTube for all the scary fun adventuring your heart can handle. If you dare. Let's begin by looking at the ability scores that are important to the Arcanist. Number 1 is Intelligence. This is your spellcasting ability score. It determines your spells per day, your DCs, and some of your skills. Next up is Charisma. This covers your Arcanist exploits, which are a huge part of crafting your identity in the class. It also affects the Consume Spell class feature, and it has potential applications for skills. As an example, if you take a trait like Ease of Faith that makes Diplomacy a class skill for you, you could be the party face. Finally, you'll want to consider Dexterity. This covers ranged touch attacks, which are important to the class, especially if you want to be throwing out a lot of firepower. The only thing I can really call a dump stat for the Arcanist is Strength. You have the lowest base attack bonus and poor weapon and armor proficiencies, so you shouldn't be getting into melee combat. Now that you know what ability scores you need to consider, let's talk about races that are potentially good for Arcanist. Starting with Elf. Elves get +2 to Dexterity, +2 to Intelligence, and no penalty to Charisma. They also get a really good favored class bonus. Every level, you increase the number of points in the Arcanist Reservoir by 1. You might also consider Human, with that +2 to any ability score and no penalties. Their favored class bonus is to add 1 spell to the Arcanist spellbook. This must be 1 level below the highest spell level that you can cast. The Arcanist is also a class that doesn't really lose anything by being small category. So, things like Ratfolk with their +2 to Intelligence, +2 to Dexterity, -2 to Strength, as well as that +1 to AC and attack rolls for being small size, have a lot of potential as Arcanists. Also, a Gathlane Arcanist, with their +2 to Dexterity, +2 Charisma, and -2 to Constitution, as well as the bonuses from being small and flying, can potentially be very powerful. Now, let's get into the Arcanist class features, starting with spellcasting. This is a class you need to really read that spellcasting entry. An Arcanist can cast spells from the Wizard Sorcerer spell list. Now here's where it gets tricky. The number of spells you prepare and the number of spells you cast are not the same. You prepare the spells you want for the day and cast them in any combination. You prepare like a wizard and cast like a sorcerer. As an example, a 6th level Arcanist can prepare 1 3rd level spell, 2 2nd level spells, 4 first-level spells, and 7 zero-level spells. And they can cast 2 third-level spells, 4 second-level spells, and 4 first-level spells. Next class feature, Arcane Reservoir. You have an Arcane Reservoir filled with Arcane points, a maximum of 3 plus your Arcanist level. As an example, an Elf Arcanist, level 5, who took the extra Reservoir feat would have a total of 16 Arcane Reservoir points, assuming they took the favored class bonus, of course. Every day during spell prep, the Reservoir refills with a number of points equal to 3 plus half your Arcanist level. So that same Elf Arcanist, level 5, would start the day with 5 Reservoir points. Points can be gained or regained over the course of the day with the Consume Spell class feature or certain arcane exploits. The points in your Arcane Reservoir have many potential uses, including fueling your exploits and increasing the caster level of a spell you cast by 1. This is great for damage-dealing spells like Shocking Grasp and Fireball. Alternatively, you can use your points to increase the DC of your spell by 1. This is great for spells like Hold Person and Curse. Augmenting your spell with arcane energy is done as a free action when you cast a spell. You can only spend 1 point on any one spell in this way, so you can adjust the caster level or the DC, but not both on the same spell. Now let's talk about Consume Spell. A number of times per day equal to your Charisma modifier. As a move action, you can consume a spell slot and gain Reservoir points equal to the level of the spell that you consumed. Now that you understand the broad strokes of the Arcanist, let's get into the fine details that will let you craft a magical masterpiece, the Arcane Exploits. You will gain new Arcanist exploits at 1st level, 3rd level, 5th level, 7th level, 9th level, etc. Beginning with the ones that deal damage. Your elemental damage dealers are Acid Jet, Flame Arc, Ice Missile, Lightning Lance, and Sonic Blast. These exploits deal 1d6 damage plus Charisma modifier plus 1d6 for every 2 Arcanist levels you have. They also have another additional trait to them. Acid Jet is a ranged touch attack. The target of your attack must make a Fortitude save or be sickened for 1d4 rounds. Flame Arc is a line effect with a 30-foot range. Ice Missile is a ranged touch attack. Fort save or the target is stunned for 1 round. Lightning Lance is a ranged touch attack. Fort save or the target has a 20% miss chance on everything it attacks for 1 round. Finally, Sonic Blast is a ranged touch attack that requires a fort save. If the target fails the fort save, it is deafened for 1 minute. Now, all of those different elemental choices are great, but if you come up against something that really requires force damage, you have the option of Force Strike. This deals 1d4 damage plus 1 per Arcanist level, and it auto-hits. And force damage, so you ain't afraid of no ghosts. Next, let's look at some of your defensive exploits. Arcane Barrier. As a swift action, you can grant yourself temporary HP equal to your Arcanist level plus your Charisma modifier. These temporary hit points last for 1 minute. Each time you use this exploit throughout the day, it increases the Reservoir cost by 1. And temporary HP from this exploit don't stack. Just cast it over and over again as you need it. Next, Counterspell. As an immediate action, if you correctly identify a spell being cast, you can attempt to counter it, as if you were using Dispel Magic. This requires you to sacrifice a spell slot 1 level higher than the spell being cast. If the spell being cast is one that you have prepared, you get a +5 bonus on your check to counter the spell. Finally, there's a nifty little exploit called Armored Mask. As a standard action, by spending 1 Reservoir point, you gain the benefits of Mage Armor, caster level equal to your Arcanist level. And you appear, because of illusions, to be wearing either light or medium armor of your choice. When this ability is active, you can spend an additional Reservoir point to gain the benefits of Shield of Faith. We've done offense, we've done defense, now let's move on to some other useful exploits, like Familiar. The name is pretty self-explanatory. You gain the Wizard's Familiar Arcane Bond. Next, an exploit with a huge range of options is Bloodline Development. This grants you the first level ability of Sorcerer Bloodline. As a swift action, you can spend 1 Reservoir point to treat your Arcanist level as your Sorcerer level for the effects of this ability. You can do this for 1 round per Charisma modifier point. Some bloodlines you might consider are the Arcane Bloodline. You can use this to get a bonded item as per the Arcane Bond. You could go with the Fey Bloodline. This would give you Laughing Touch. A creature affected by Laughing Touch can only take a move action for 1 round. Or you could try the Martyred Bloodline. As an immediate action, you can lose 1 HP and gain a +1 Sacred bonus on your next save, attack, or skill check. A lot of the choice of what Sorcerer Bloodline to go with really depends on what you want to focus on with your character. There are a lot of Sorcerer Bloodlines and a lot of different ways to use this exploit. Next up, School Understanding. This grants you the usable 3 times per day plus int mod, Charisma mod for you, ability of a Wizard School. You can expend 1 point from your Reservoir to treat your Arcanist level as your effective Wizard level and gain the other first level ability of your chosen school. As an example, the Illusion School would give you Blinding Ray, and for 1 Reservoir point, the Extended Illusion ability. Transmutation would give you Telekinetic Fist, and the Physical Enhancement ability. A great one is the Admixture Evoker. This gives you Versatile Evocation, which lets you change elemental damage types of your spells, as well as Intense Spell. This adds 1/2 of your effective Wizard level as damage to your spell. Other exploits to consider are Item Crafting. This gives you an item creation feat. Metamixing. This gives you a metamagic feat. Finally, there's the very, very useful Potent Magic. This lets you increase the caster level or DC of your spells by 2 instead of 1. Finally, I would like to talk to you about the Outer Rift exploits. This is dangerous magic. If the use of one of these exploits reduces your pool to 0 points, you get a Stain of Corruption from either the Accursed, Demonic, Hellbound, or Possessed corruptions. This lasts for 24 hours, and you can gain multiple stains over the course of 1 day, and each time you gain a new stain, it extends the cooldown period for all of your other stains. However, you do not gain a Gift of Corruption in this way. Some Outer Rift exploits are Shadows out of Light. You surround yourself with darkness, giving you a +2 deflection bonus. And the shadows make attacks of opportunity, dealing 1d6, plus your charisma modifier in damage, and 1 strength damage. The shadows last for 1 round per 2 Arcanist levels. This will cost you 1 Reservoir point. There's also Damnation Cesaris. This exploit allows you to force creatures around you to drop what they're holding and do damage to themselves. There's also Rift Fog. This creates a 5-foot cloud that does cold damage and slows enemies. Or the rather grotesque and horrible Tentacles. This allows you to grow a pair of tentacles out of your chest that have 5-foot reach and can deliver touch attacks. Oh, by the way, your original arms shrivel to gross T-Rex-like uselessness. Finally, I'd like to talk about some of the feats that would be beneficial to your Arcanist. Feats like Spell Focus, as well as Greater Spell Focus. These raise the DC of spells from a specific school by 1. When combined with Potent Magic and the Metamagic feat Heightened Spell, you can get some very high DCs on your illusions, enchantments, and necromancies. There's also Spell Specialization. This increases the effective spell level by 2 for a specific spell selected by you. so if you're married to one damage dealing spell, you can add on more of those beautiful damage dice. And if you have an ability to change its damage type, you can be throwing out fireballs, ice balls, acid orbs, and ball lightning. If you feel like you need it, you have the option of Extra Exploit. Finally, Extra Reservoir will give you 3 more Reservoir points if you need them. I hope you've enjoyed the D6 Damage Arcanist Class Analysis. Also, if you're interested in more class analysis and strategy guides for Pathfinder 1 and Pathfinder 2, check out D6 Damage on YouTube and BitChute. And if you're interested in taking your game further, join the D6 Damage Discord, where we have fantastic discussions about all aspects of Pathfinder, from character builds, DMing guides, and much, much more. The link is down in the description.